Hey, I'm Naya. Welcome back to the channel. So today we have a cool video ahead of us, but before that, I need to say two things. First of them, I hope this is not too annoying to watch. Something bit me or like stung me or whatever. It was like a weird mosquito or something. Whatever, it's here and yeah, just don't look at it, I guess. Basically, the other thing, now this one's not as like funny or whatever. It's just very, very cool. We are nearly at 1,000 subscribers, which to me is a bit unfathomable still. And I'm so grateful. I feel so blessed and happy that I get to do this, and so many of you actually want to watch it. And yeah, it just makes me so happy, and especially now since it's around Christmas time and everything, and it's just so cool, and it means a lot. It honestly means so much to me that you will probably not be able to know ever, but it does. And like I said, I'm super, super grateful. So I have decided to do a giveaway that's like a Christmas giveaway or like a almost 1,000 subscriber giveaway, whatever you want to call it. It's just me giving back to you as you have given to me and made me very happy in the last 5-6 months as this channel has been alive and existing. And yeah, so I just want to thank all of you again and ask for my giveaway. So I'm going to give away my mat, my personal mat, my favorite mat, my IP mat. And it's this one right here. It's the regional IP play mat. And this mat means the world to me. It legit means so much to me. It's on my profile picture on YouTube. So I have one too. I have one with Thunder Dragon and one with pendulums, and I only kept one of them. This is one of them, don't know from which event, but yeah, it's legit my life. This mat is my life, and I want to give it to one of you just to show you that I appreciate you. And as for how you can enter the giveaway is, I have started entering comments into the giveaway, so every single comment that you drop on all of my videos, any video from the last video until the 25th, which is the Christmas day, is going to be entered into the giveaway. So that's how you can win, and also subscribe and like the videos and everything. And yeah, basically the first video that drops after the 25th is going to be including the winner. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you again, like from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you so much, and good luck. Alright, so now let's just go ahead and get into the video. Basically what we're going to be doing today is talking about anything that's a budget option in the current meta. I feel like we as players tend to say a lot of the times how this game is like pay to win and talk about things like that, and sometimes this really does feel like it. But in reality, I have seen that so many decks in the past couple of formats have been slowly becoming much more accessible, and not just the decks, all of the different options that you can have instead of like a droplet or something like that essentially do the same thing. Even if they are not exactly the same card, all of those cards have been getting different reprints, and also like some of those cards are really good and accessible and can be used. So today we're gonna talk about all of the staple cards, for example, what you can use instead of them, different decks that are budget, different techs that are budget, but basically everything. So yeah, we're just gonna be covering pretty much everything that I could have thought of, and if I have forgotten anything, which hopefully I have not, but if something slipped my mind, just let me know down in the comments, like especially since now with the giveaway, I need you to comment. But yeah, other than that, please comment if I have forgotten anything, and also what you feel about all of those staples, what your viewpoint overall is on the budget and the sort of not just the budget, overall the money aspect of this game. And yeah, let's just have a discussion basically. So I will try to split this into sections because I feel like this makes the most sense. And first of all, I want to talk to you about staples. So this is obvious, you know, we have Prosperity, we have Droplet, and all of those cards are hard to get, you know, they are expensive, and if you're not willing to invest in it, or if you just don't have the means to, or whatever your reason may be, which all of them are valid, then you need to find alternatives. I cannot speak English sometimes. You need to find different options. So looking at prosperity, for example, I want to take you back to my, I think it was like 2 videos back in the Ideas deck profile. My guest even said that, and this was a really cool thing to remember. For example, in an Ideas deck, so an Invoke deck, you don't really need to use something like Prosperity. You can just run Small World. So I guess I would bring this up as the first option, especially in that kind of deck. And what it really is about is joining the both engines that are in deck. So sometimes what Prosperity really is just a good going second card. Mind that, going second card if you want to dig through your deck to find resources to combat your opponent's board. So maybe someone will choose to run Prosperity if they want to make their going second a lot easier. But for the most part, from what I've seen, like looking at different decks and deck lists, Prosperity is not the most needed card. You can still make great use of something like Desires in a Sword Soul deck or something like that, where you want to draw. You don't really need to dig. You just want the +2 and that's it. And yeah, sometimes it's not, really the budget option, which Small World compared to something like Prosperity is, but it's also about what the card really provides for you, because not all of the expensive cards are necessarily good in every single deck, in every single format. Like you can run Prosperity in like Sky Strikers or something, and you can also run them in something like Flunderies, but you don't really need to. So there's something to think about. Now the next card I will just briefly mention is Triple Tactics Talent. So this was like the 3 horsemen of the most expensive cards: Prosperity, Triple Tactics Talent, and also Droplet, obviously. So Triple Tactics Talent has been reprinted. Now I would not necessarily say there's always like an alternative for talents, but by how this entire format has been changing and shaping up to be, not everybody runs hand traps. There are still people leaning towards just going second cards, such as Droplets, such as Evenly, things like that. So Talents has not been seeing that much play as of recently, but if you do have like a deck, all of your staples taken care of, and you just want to invest in something like Triple Tactics Talent, you can do that with the reprint. And then I guess the 4th horseman would be Extravagance. I got confused for a second between Prosperity and Extravagance. So Extravagance has been getting so many reprints, from the 2020 Megatins to the Gold Pack and everything, and it's been getting more and more accessible. Now, if you want to look at certain decks that run Extravagance, for example, looking at Eldritch, looking at Flunderies, and I know I'm a bit all over the place, but those decks are accessible with some of the reprints that has been happening in the last couple of set releases. And if you just want to maybe pick up all of your Eldritch stuff, just because IDP has been reprinted, every single Eldritch card has been reprinted, you can do that and then use something like Extravagance that's maybe a bit more expensive. Just invest in that, take 3 copies of that, and you boost your deck immediately and still have all of the most accessible, for example, trap cards like Judgments and Strikes and things like that. Just pick up your deck basically for very, very cheap, just because those important cards have been getting reprints, such as Extravagance. So we're not just going to be moving into budget decks immediately. The Flunderies and Eldritch deck were just something I wanted to mention. We're still going to stick around with the staples for a bit longer. So looking at Droplet, for example, we have so many options. And yes, I know that not all of those cards do the same thing as Droplet. They don't. And the attack halving is very, very important, but you can't have everything. And if you can run something like Chalice, something like Veiler, something like Impermanence. So Impermanence, yes, I know it's still a bit on the pricey side, but it's been getting so many reprints. It's been getting a super rare printing, an ultra rare, like basically everything under the sun almost Impermanence has been printed into. And if you want to invest into something like that, that's obviously a way cheaper option than Droplet, but it's still a very good card. Like Impermanence is something that you almost need to have if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, I feel like. But you can still run Chalice, you can still run Veiler, and also Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. So this card is like, it's always been a bit weird since when it dropped. We've been very hyped up about it, and then it's sort of like just been on the back burner just because it does not do everything that some of the cards do, but it's still a nice alternative and also is very, very accessible. So staying on topic of Droplet a bit longer, what essentially Droplet does is it combats your opponent's board. Now, like I said before, I know cards don't do the same thing, but if you look at the bigger picture, you want to break your opponent's board. So you're gonna have to use cards like, you know, impermanence, stuff like that. That's a direct comparison to Droplet. But you can also just invest into something like Dark Ruler, into something like especially tailored to go second cards, Kaijus, Lava Golems, Rust Fear Mode, and then you have also Alpha, the Master of Beasts. Like, that has been a secret and then it flopped and now it's very cheap. Like, the secret is very cheap by itself. So those are the like really, really going second cards. And also Ruler that I have mentioned got a reprint in the Charmer structure deck, so that's accessible again. It was on the release, then it wasn't anymore, now it is again. And also just looking at how you want to basically combat your opponent's board, turn, whatever, you can still use hand traps. Like, if you pair hand traps together, if you run a bit more of them, you can still pretty much achieve the same result, because of course something like Gamma, something like Ash, something like, I don't know, Droll, just things are more accessible than Droplet in particular. So now that we have leaned a bit into the hand trap side of things, I've mentioned Gamma, I've mentioned some very specific things like Droll, I realize those cards are still expensive. My fridge is going off. Hopefully you're not bothered by it. They are still expensive, some of them. Like Nibiru, you would still need to give like 30 or 35 dollars for a playset, because that's just how it is. And by the way, this video is meant to be for everybody. Like, it's not just the cheapest options. If you are someone that just wants to have a deck that's a bit cheaper, and we're gonna talk about those a bit later on, and you just wanna invest in a couple staple cards, or if you're just trying to, you know, really just get everything for very cheap, hopefully this video is for everybody, like I said. So if you're not really someone that wants to invest in Nibiru, cool. If you are, also cool, because it's not too expensive. But what you can also do is look at strategies that are very prevalent at the moment and pick cards that are especially meant to combat those exact decks. And right now I'm looking at cards like Token Collector, even Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. I know this sounds a bit out there, but it's dirt cheap and it's efficient. Same as Token Collector, same as something like Lancia. Just those common cards or rare cards or things just rolling around in your binders and books. Just get all of that out. Get your DD Crows, like the commons, or just whatever, because you have hand traps that will stop your opponent from progressing. And if you pair that up with a deck that you feel like are comfortable with, you don't need to have Droplet. You just need to be, you know, good with your deck, and you need to do your disruptions in a smart way, basically. And we were talking about Flunderies before, you know, just run something like D-Shifter, because the D-Shifter is very, very specific and you cannot run it in every single deck. And there's cards like No Material, just things that are very specific but can find their place in certain metas. You just need to look for them, basically. You have cards like Chaos Hunter, that's an alternative to Lancia. You have Skullmeister. You have a lot of things that you can make good use of. And also cards like Retaliating Sea and Contact Sea. Contact Sea is especially great against things like Tri Brigade, stuff like that. Also, Retaliating Sea, especially good in some like a Shadow matchup, so make sure to think about those as well. So we have mentioned a couple going second cards, and there's also things like Pankratops, things like Kaijus, like I said before. Those cards are a couple euros. Everything's very, very cheap if you look at it. And then you also have cards like, now this is gonna sound weird, but you can invest into something like Mystic Mine. And I say invest because it was way cheaper way back when. Now it's not anymore, but you can still take a card that really overwhelms your opponent and is especially good in certain metas such as this one. Just do it. Just do it and see if they have an out. Like, I know this sounds annoying, and it is, but if you don't have the option to run something like Droplet or something like that, you are allowed to run something like Mystic Mine, you know? And yeah, I should disclaim that I'm not a big fan of that. It's just something I'm putting out there. And also things like Mystic Mine, things like Kaijus or Pankratops, they don't always out your opponent's board. They just trade with different disruptions. So you're gonna have to make a choice whether or not you want to run hand traps, you want to go purely going second, you want to go heavy on those types of cards, because you need to know your meta, you need to know what your deck can also play, not just run everything and everything. But those are the options just so you can decide, because you cannot expect to go up against a bird player and just, you know, slap Mystic Mine. They're probably gonna have Apex AVN or something like that, and you're gonna trade, but you're still better off than just having nothing. And then we also need to mention Backrow removal. Like, yeah, Lightning Storm is good. We all know that, and it's, you know, unfortunate that some cards are very, very good and don't have a reprint for quite a long time. And even when they do, they're still expensive. So we got a King's Court reprint, but it's still like 50 euros. You know, it's not that accessible. But the good thing is that Lightning Storm, it's not really good in every single deck, in every single meta. And I know I say that a lot, but that's just because that's how it is. Formats change and everything shifts all the time. And yeah, you have alternatives. Thankfully, we have a lot of Backrow removal that's cheap. We have Twin Twister that's had like 1,000 printings, legit. We have Cosmic Cyclone, we have Harpy's Feather Duster, and we also have something like Evenly Matched. I know it's not that cheap, but it's still a better option. And also in the format we're in right now, I feel like it's very, very good. And now, just to round everything off, I was also thinking of just mentioning a couple decks, with the intent to say that there are meta decks, you know, believe it or not, that are cheap or meta relevant, I should say. For example, looking at Virtual World, everything got reprinted in the Mega Pack of 2021. Same as Phantom Knights, Torrent Scales got reprinted in the same pack, so you can use the Phantom Knight deck and just add on to it. For example, you know, just like Virtual World, not get everything together if you can do it, you know, just take a deck, take a core that's accessible, such as Phantom Knight, such as Virtual World, such as Outlich stuff, and then just add on to it. You know, slowly buy the traps, slowly build the extra decks, slowly add different extenders, because you don't need to, you know, waste your entire budget at once. You can just slowly add on to decks that are overall quite accessible. Because if you look at also something like IDS, something like Birds, like I know that's not the cheapest option, obviously, but for example, all of the Dogmatica stuff also got a reprint. The Birds, like Bird Calls are not exactly expensive cards. They're like 7 euros or something. But then you look at something like Utopic Future and it's expensive. You look at something like Phoenix Enforcer and it's expensive. But I'm only saying all of these things to say this, and now hear me out. If you invest in a core that's cheap and then you add on to it, that's cool and you can do that. But you can also take something that you maybe got it for very cheap or had it from before, something like Sky Striker, something that's been around for some time but got boosted up by something that's fairly expensive, like Phoenix Enforcer together with Fusion Destiny and stuff. Fusion Destiny used to be cheap. Now, if you have copies lying around, even if you don't, and you just invest in a couple cards or invest in an engine, and hopefully I don't get hate for saying that, because I know those cards are expensive, but it's like, you don't always need to play, you know, the very best deck or the most expensive deck, but just play something that you maybe had lying around and invest in a particular card or a particular thing that boosts your archetype or just helps you overall. Like, you can have some of the cheapest hand traps and then just save, and then buy something like Droplets. It's like, you don't always need to feel like you need to have every single card, is what I'm saying. You don't need to have any of them. Like, legit. I think I have provided enough examples to say and to claim that you have other options as well. But, you know, I just wanted to put it out there. Like I said, I hope this video is for everybody, and I just want to inspire you to decide. That's what I want to do. I want to inspire you to decide. Maybe you want to pick up a deck. for cheap. Maybe you want to pick up a couple budget options for hand traps or stuff like that. Like everything is cool as long as you know what your cards do, as long as you know, okay, I'm running Backrow. It's cheap and it's good in this format. I bought Mystic Mine. I bought Evenly Matched. It's like, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I hope all of this makes sense, and I hope I have provided enough options, and hopefully you go on like TCG Player, Card Market, things like that, and just see all of the different printings, all of the cards that are accessible, and decide for yourself whatever fits your budget. And yeah, I just also want to say that not everybody has every single card, and that's okay. Like legit, just get anything you can at that point in time when you can, and if you don't, just have alternatives. Like we have so many of them and it's completely cool. All you need to do is just know your deck, know when to disrupt your opponent, like I said before, and just invest your resources properly, whatever you want to do. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So this video was very fun for me to make. Like I said before, hopefully I did not forget anything. I just want to help you as best as I can with all of these ideas. Also want to spark a discussion in the comment section for all of us to help each other out with advice and things like that. And yeah, for this video in particular, I also want to say thank you again. Like I said in the beginning of the video, make sure to comment so I can enter you into the giveaway. And yeah, just like, comment, sub, check out Twitch. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.